So, welcome to Morehaven Farm. We're going to show you how we make our applesauce here. We've got the lads are starting off. We got our bushel of apples that we got at Ireland Apple Farm. And we're now preparing them to do the cooking. As you can see, Andrew took the apple, he's cut it into 4 parts. Wiley's helping us out here as well. They cut the core out, checking for bruises.
And I took them off.
And Jacob basically quartered them all for us. And we've got Mom and Nana are basically quality control and inspectors. And making sure that everything is set up properly. So that's the first step. We after we went to Ireland's apple and blueberry farm, they actually allowed us to pick them off the ground ourselves. So we made sure that we got ones that had very few bruises. And as you can see, these are absolutely fantastic looking apples. Totally red, very sweet. Going to make fantastic applesauce. So that's stage 1. So after the boys have finished coring off the apples, we then bring it over to the sink. We're going to put a little bit of water into it, as you can see, until it's about, the pot's about halfway full. I know you can't really tell right now of water, but it is about halfway full. We're having a little bit of discussion, but it looks like the pot's about 1/4 of water full, and now it's going to make its way down to the stove. All right, so now we're moving on to stage 2. The girls are obviously hard at work down here cooking the apples. So as you can see, we've got over here our first batch are steaming away, looking real good. And our 2 pots here are just boiling water right now.
Nobody needs to see that, just to see.
Because they will eventually go in, the jars will eventually go into them. So that's where we're at right now, is we're just cooking the apples. All right, so we have finished cutting up that bushel of apples and they're now cooking, and we're gonna get rid of the scraps at this point. So as you can see in the buckets, lads are headed out to the pigs now.
We have to go in the picture, guys.
Grace, you should watch these.
In the big video.
Yeah.
I'll go. And 2, we have to check where the shelter is.
Oh, look at that. Pigs know what's going on.
I have to go.
Listen to them talking.
Dump it right in there, guys.
Oh, I don't think you need in, Jacob.
No, just dump it right in. Dump it right in, it'll all be good. Whoop. Go. So there's all the cores and scraps. Pigs enjoying it. Beautiful.
It's actually empty.
So as you can see, we now have got loads and loads of pots.
The jars have been sterilized.
We've also got all the jars sterilized at this point. These get reused, the jars themselves. The lids do not, obviously, after the rubber seals are broken. So we have to go out and we buy new lids every year. Find them just about anywhere. Canadian Tire, Home Hardware. Lots of the grocery stores carry the lids. Not a problem finding those. And they're all standard size. So you can see we're some of the rings finishing up. You can see on our stove here, getting lots of usage. Everything is basically cooking at 5. So we've got our convection upstairs that we use to boil. And we have our old electric stove down in the basement where we're also boiling. So our first pot is ready to go at this point. Took approximately a half an hour to get to this state, and basically we want to see apple mush. You'll notice that the skins are still on them, and so we're just extremely hot as well, so we want to make sure we're being careful at this stage. But we take our apple mush and we start putting it into our strainers. So we've got our two strainers at work here, and we got Michaela hard at work doing the first strainers. Skylar's getting ready to do the second, and Cass is passing out.
You can do this as well.
And
Right? And
Skylar's got some very nice technique going on here. She's doing the rounding motion here, pressing it up against the sides of the strainer, pushing it right out. So as we are dumping out the applesauce, we periodically have to clean out our strainers, and I don't even know what those are called. What are the wooden mallets called? Do we know what those are called?
Sticks.
Smashers.
Anyways, the wooden sticks. We need to periodically clean them off. Those are mainly the skins that are left over at this point. We never peel the apples ahead of time because the skins are actually what gives it its great flavor. So that's why we
You just want to make
keep
sure
the skins right on until the very end, once we've actually created our. So once we get our applesauce created, now we are adding in our two ingredients. A little bit of sugar. Sugar really depends on the amount of how ripe the apples are and how much natural sugar they already have. So we do a little bit of taste testing here. We also add in the cinnamon at this point. And again, cinnamon is really based on personal preference. We, on occasion, will even add in some...
No, those are only if the apples aren't green enough or aren't red enough.
the cinnamon hearts, if we're needing a little extra because the apples are too tart, we'll add those in as well. But these are extremely good, so we won't be using the cinnamon hearts. We just a little bit of cinnamon powder. I know you can't smell it through the video right now, but man, does it ever smell good. This needs to happen fairly quickly because the jars have been heated up at this point and they won't seal properly. So we're doing some taste testing. All right, passes inspection. So as you can see, we're doing approximately 3 full scoops that are going into the pint jars. So you can see that we've been boiling the lids as well in order to get a proper seal on them. Classic canning technique. So those jars that we were filling up with applesauce, after we got the lids put on them and tightened up, we then put them in the pot of boiling water. And we're basically bringing the water back up to a boil, which should be about around 5 minutes, and then we'll let it simmer for about 20 minutes after that, and it'll be good to go. Key thing here is we don't want to let them cool down because that's how you start getting broken seals and cracks and so on. So not a real concern. Things were plenty warm when we put them in, so it should all be good.